Hi, Pat
Hi
Princi-Jones.
there, Alexandra. How are you?
I'm just lovely. How are you?
Good, really good, thank you. It's cold here though.
It's cold. Well, you should know what it's like here.
I'm in lockdown in Melbourne and it's cold.
Yeah, you are calling us from all the way from Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We are so pleased to have you here on our show. And
Thank you.
we are here to talk about this book, Doftens
Yeah,
magi. The
lovely.
English title, A Scented Life.
A scented life, yes. Because my girlfriend describes me as living a scented life. And
Oh,
I thought, a lovely name for my book. She always
it
says,
is.
oh, Pat, you live a scented life. If you came into my home here, I've got evidence of it everywhere. If out in the hallway of my apartment block, people know when I'm around because they can smell the oils traveling through the foyer, down the lift, imbuing and making the house, making this apartment and the building smell beautiful. Now, my background's actually teaching. I'm a high school teacher of English.
Oh,
And I was in my 20s and I was already at an all-girls high school, loved teaching Shakespeare, all the classics, because I'm really into educating young women in particular. And I went to Bali for a holiday and it was my destiny. You know, when something happens and the trajectory takes you on a different path in your life. And it all started with just one breath of jasmine oil. It was given to me on the trip and I smelt it and I thought, oh my God, what is this smell? And that was the beginning and ended up in the book. That holiday, I was doing hair rinses with frankincense and geranium to aromatize my scalp and to enlighten me in a way, make me feel more clear and have clarity. At night when we go out dancing, we used to do full body rubs with jojoba and ylang-ylang and patchouli, which are aphrodisiacs. And we just, use them as a moisturizer, but in a jojoba base. When we come home late at night and we'd had a lot to eat and drink, because I was still in my 20s, we used to do foot baths with peppermint and juniper berry because they're diuretics. So that would help get rid of that sort of heaviness and stodginess and the hangover of eating and drinking too much and dancing too much. In the morning, we'd get up really early and meditate, and we'd use oils like cedarwood. And look, by the time I got home back to Sydney, because I was living in Sydney then, I have to say to you, I was never the same again. I absolutely transformed my whole house. I had a diffuser. In the bathroom, I had all these towels ready to do compressing on the face with neroli, orange blossom. Every minute of every day, I was just surrounded with the beauty of scent, and I used the oils. And what happened was all my friends started to come over because they wanted to share and delight in what I was doing. The girls at school in my year 10 and 12 class wanted me to use the oils to help them with exams, with clarity, study, or puberty, or period pain, you name it. I became like this walking apothecary. Within a short time, I was scooped up by one of the biggest and first Australian aromaterapi companies to be their education manager. They said, we actually need someone just like you. We don't need beauty therapists. We need a real teacher who's going to teach people how to use the oils and what to do and how to learn the oils. Now, for me, that was an incredible challenge because I studied Shakespeare. Suddenly I'm leaving Shakespeare to teach basil and to teach lavender. But it was still the same. I was still teaching. And I moved from Sydney to Melbourne within a short time, and I took up the position at one of Australia's largest, and still today, it's the market leader of pure essential oils in Australia. And I became their national training and education manager 30 years ago. I remember how much I struggled. I remember how, even though I love teaching, science is not my gig. I'm a humanities person. I studied history and English at university. So I struggled with the chemistry of the essential oils, and I struggled sometimes with understanding these are pure essential oils. How come they're talking about chemical constituents? I didn't like the word chemical constituents. I know my struggle, and that's why I wrote this book, because I thought, if I struggled, how is everyone else in the world struggling, trying to wade their way through books that are very erudite, brilliant, scientific, but not necessarily for the end user and for the lay person who really just wants to use the oils for home care, because that's what I wanted to always use them for, home care.
Yeah.
And hence the book.
So when you say that there is like chemistry and science behind all this,
exactly.
I think most people think this is something that we just made up. That it's,
when I first started going to college, because I did night school, I went and re-enrolled, and I was in my late 20s, and I re-enrolled in aromatherapy course at night school. And all of a sudden, the teacher out the front, the aromatherapist, started saying, now, lavender's got linalool acetate in it, and it's got 1.8 cineol, but only 2%. I thought, okay, that's it. I'm going back to Sydney. I'm going back to Shakespeare. I'm not doing this. Forget it. But what it is, it makes sense the way I've explained it in the book. It's just in the chapter on the role of essential oils in plants. Think of plants. We wouldn't survive without plants, because we need them for our food and sustenance, to give us the nutrients we require. We get it through plants. The plants get it from the sun. And through photosynthesis, then they produce all the nitrogen, the hard carbon and oxygen that we require. But when you think about what Mother Earth did at the very dawn of time, plants have always been used. We're fascinated with them. We're fascinated with the look of them, the smell of them, the feel of them, the magnificence of some of them, and the minuscule size of others. When we think of a cedar tree and we look up at it and we think it came from a tiny seed, or when we look at something really small in nature that grows in the garden and how precious it is, or a rose that takes so long and finally it produces the ultimate beauty of the petals and the flower, and within a week it's gone, and the perfume's actually gone within a few hours, because what the plant is doing, think of the plant as being trapped. Imagine if you couldn't move from that chair and suddenly someone came in and was going to knock you with a bag or something accidentally. You'd have to go like this, but we could step out of the way. The plant can't. So the plant has to produce chemicals to protect itself. So it produces chemical constituents in the form of essential oils in different parts of the plant, in the leaves, in the root, in the citrus peel of the fruit, in the petal of the flower, for different reasons. So the rose does that to attract the hummingbees to pollinate so that it can survive as a species. Whereas lavender, when it releases the properties in the leaves, it's to repel insects. Rosemary, it releases the camphor within its nettles underground so that no other plant can grow around it.
Really?
Yes, that's why when you look, next time you see a big hedge of rosemary growing, so hardy and sturdy, if you rub it, you break the molecules and you'll smell the camphor that's in it, the predominant chemical. Because essential oils, and I explain it in the book, have up to 160 naturally occurring chemical constituents in them. And that's where the healing comes from. It's not just smells pretty. When we distill that plant, we tap into that chemistry, organic chemistry, coming from a pure essential oil from a specific part of a specific plant. We tap into that. We put them in little bottles. I've got my little beautiful Do you have oils at home? I'll have to send you some beautiful essential oils. So
Please
these are the kind, I know, look at this. My chest, my medicine chest. This is my medicine.
I want one of those.
I know. This is a real exclusive.
Are they your own? Do you have your own?
Well, this is in essence aromatherapy, but I can imagine how many of these I've got. I've actually got 200 essential oils.
Yeah,
this is
do you have your own brand? Do you create them?
Oh, no, I don't have my own brand. Not yet.
Not yet.
The book's first, so you never know in the big picture. But so that's what I finally got it. Of course, the plant protects itself. The plant gets the humming bees in. It gets the butterflies to come. It gets the bee to come and then fly off and cross-pollinate. Protects itself. But in particular, what got me was the temperature in Australia is hot.
Yeah.
90% of the time, it's very, very hot.
Yeah.
It's not tropical, but it's hot. Think of a eucalyptus forest at the Blue Mountains in Sydney. When you stand out at the lookout and you look across at literally a field, a forest of trees, you see a blue haze. Now, I never knew when I was a little girl and my mother would take me to the Blue Mountains that blue haze was eucalyptus essential oil being released from the leaves to cool the tree from the heat in the middle of the day when it was full sun. So the purpose of eucalyptus in the leaves of the Eucalyptus globulus is to protect and cool the tree from the heat. And when we distill the leaves through steam distillation and we get the essential oil out of it, that essential oil is a decongestant for colds and flus, for temperature, to reduce temperature.
When if you've got breathe it in, it's kind of cool.
Yes, it's cooling. Just like it cools the tree when it's released, the properties within that oil, we tap into it and it has exactly the same for us. Similarly, ylang-ylang and jasmine is the night temptress. She only comes out and releases her intoxicating narcotic scent late at night because that's when the hummingbird is flying around and she wants him to come down and get the pollen and cross-pollinate. So she's seducing the hummingbird with this narcotic aphrodisiac smell. And jasmine oil undisputedly is an aphrodisiac. It is so cloying and heavy and when you smell it, it's intoxicating. And it's used
essential oils in flowers, or for example, vanilla. Where is that coming from?
So, well, vanilla is a recently used oil that comes from the vanilla pod. First, let me say, not all plants produce essential oils. Okay, not all. Some plants use colour, thorns to attract or get rid of predators, and some produce essential oils. So vanilla produces the vanilla in the pod, in the seed pod. Again, when it's released, it has also quite a cloying aphrodisiac scent. So I wouldn't use vanilla or jasmine really as a medicinal oil if you had eczema or cold and flu, or if you would, and I won't use the word depression because in Australia, I don't know about you over there, I choose the word melancholy because remember what we're doing now is for home care.
Yep.
It's not for, it's not to become medics. Your book club people can only enjoy the oils at home, used safely as I've directed in the book, and not try to think, I got a long-term illness. I know I'm going to get this recipe and I'm going to now administer these oils and prescribe, self-prescribe. That's not what aromatherapy is about. Unless you're an aromatherapist, then you'd have to come to the clinic and then you'd be prescribed like going to a doctor. You'd go to a proper clinician, qualified aromatherapist. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's the difference.
Yes.
What was the question that you asked me? Because I sort of got...
No, it was about vanilla. I was thinking...
everybody's cuckoo about vanilla because you love the smell of vanilla.
But
That's what it is.
It's not the same thing, really.
Look, I would use Peru balsam. Now we're going into an advanced class and I don't think it's appropriate for this hour. Everybody loves the smell of vanilla, okay? And love it. Because guess what? If you love the smell of something, it's having a great impact on you. And first and foremost, for me, when I started using the oils, I thought they were just about beautiful smells. I thought, oh my God, I love the smell of lavender. I love the smell of sandalwood. I love the smell of frankincense, even patchouli and ylang-ylang, and the list went on. I loved all of them. And I just sort of read more than anything the impact they had on me emotionally. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I started studying that I learned, oh my God, these things heal you too. Mm-hmm. So first and foremost, for beginners, for your readership, I would say to all of them, have a look at the book that I've got on, have a look at the chapter that I've got on for the beginner, my essential oil kit. If I was starting again and I could go back, what would be my pick? What would be my top picks of oils? And I've paired them and I teach you exactly how to mix them if you're starting out, so you don't make mistakes, because believe me, I made lots of mistakes. It's like in cooking. When you first learn to cook, you can make a mistake when you make your pavlova and it's a flop and you have to do it again. Well, the same can happen when you're making essential oil blends. So follow the rules, get to meet an oil first, understand these points, important points when you're doing the little clips for the class. Essential oils are 70 times stronger than the plant they come from. So 1 drop of basil is stronger than 70 bunches of basil. 1 drop of lemon oil is stronger than 70 lemon peels. So you're dealing with something very, very potent and concentrated and powerful. Has to be used with respect. You have to know which oils are hot, like cinnamon, cardamom, lemongrass, and are likely to burn if you put them neat on the skin, or are likely to go, oh, to you if you don't know how you're using them, and you wouldn't use them if you were pregnant, and you wouldn't use them if you're a child or a baby. That's why the book's important, that you follow the safety guide and go to the back of the book for each oil that I've looked at, and you look carefully at the safety guide that I've got there. It's not onerous, it's not daunting, but it's important that you look at it because of the potency of the oils.
What can happen?
Also,
what can happen if you
well, you'll have to read it because it depends which oil it is. Yeah. So if you use citrus oil like lemon, and you put it on, and I do a massage rub with it, I prepare a lovely little in my bowl ready with my jojoba and my oils, and I apply it all over my body in summer, and then I go out in the sun to garden, it's going to burn my skin because lemon is photosensitive. If I were to have someone who was pregnant, I would not prescribe or give her any lemongrass, because lemongrass is, think of the herb or rosemary or basil. Think about how strong smelling they are just in their herb form. I would never give those oils to someone who is pregnant because A, they're too stimulating, B, the baby doesn't like them, and C, today we err on the side of caution in everything that we do, in the event that 1 in a million people might have an allergic reaction, so we don't take a risk. If people use the oils as directed, They can only bring joy and beauty into your life. They'll make you look healthier, younger, in the word of as youth, as not like 20 years younger, like 50 years younger, but bright and vibrant and youthful. And one of the things that all of my friends comment on often is that for my age, I have an incredible energy and vitality and a record of health, of good health. And I have used essential oils for 30 years. And that's all I use unless I've had a major illness, which has only been once. And of course, I went to a doctor and I went to hospital, but I took these with me to hospital. And the beautiful story is that when I checked in and I had a lovely private room, I had every nurse in the hospital catching up, jumping up and down the lift, coming to my floor, the women's section, because the word spread. There's this woman in ward so-and-so who's got this gorgeous box with all these amazing oils, and she's making all the staff aromatic tissues. Because that's one way I share the oils with people. I make little tissue samples. I drip the oils on them, and then they pop them into their bra straps so that they can appreciate the oils.
Yeah, because they kind of scent them. Oh, nice.
Because essential oils are volatile liquids, which means that they evaporate. They're in a constant state of evaporation. That's why they're in this dark box. That's why they're in amber bottles. That's why, look, we've got these double black bottles now. That you've got to keep the lids on and shut the box because they're constantly evaporating. The instant I take the lid off, they're like a genie. I can already smell it. I can already smell the lemongrass coming out, hitting my nose, going up into my limbic system. It's described very well in the book where I say the pathways into the body, one pathway, and the other pathway is the skin. The hair follicles that go into the circulatory system. So the first way it enters is via the nose, and it goes into the limbic system. And the limbic system is the right brain, not the neocortex. It's the right brain. Here's emotion, the endocrine system, PMS, sensuality, memory, the memory of smell. Like my book opens, as I've dedicated it to my mum, and because I'm Italian, and I remember when I was a little girl, my mother used to make the pasta sauce and she used to chop the basil. So, I mean, she's long gone, but every time every time I smell basil, it doesn't matter where I am, and I go, oh, and in that moment I get emotional and I remember my mum. That's the power of scent. You know, think of a perfume or an aftershave from a girl or guy you might have gone out with, and when you smell it again, it either brings back wonderful memories or sadness or regret or whatever. So that's the power of scent. So it works that way. And when I breathe it in, a certain amount also goes into my lungs. So that means when you're diffusing the oils, you know, when you put them in the diffuser, you know, when you diffuse them and they come out with the mist, they go all through the air because they're volatile liquids, so they're going all through the air. They fill this room, they work their way through the door, they go down the hallway outside of my apartment. They keep on going. They don't stop. They're moving until they dissipate, depending on how thick the molecules are. And that's the lesson of top, middle and base note, which is also, I work you through all the steps of learning, and it is a learning curve. It's not something you can sit down and read in 10 minutes and think, oh, great, now I know everything about aromatherapy. You really have to think about what you're learning. The other way they enter the body, now in Australia, we recognise two pathways, and it's the nose and the skin. And when they go into the skin and when I massage them, and I mix them with a carrier oil, jojoba. This is what I used in Bali. This was my first memory. I had ylang ylang and patchouli when we were going out dancing at night. In this, we made it in a bowl. a tablespoon, 3 drops of each, and then just moisturized our bodies. Instead of using a moisturizer that had fragrance in it, that had a chemical, synthetic chemical, I use natural organic chemicals from plants. See the difference?
Yes.
So that was what you start to learn, and you go, oh, wow, of course, I understand now, I'm getting it. And there is a third pathway, but it's not recognised or practiced for home care in Australia, and that's ingestion. So if ingestion's not, I haven't even touched upon it in my book. I did mention it, I think, in the safety, said do not ingest unless you go to a clinician.
Yeah.
Like you get a prescription from a doctor for a drug because you're going to swallow it. You need to do the same for the oils. Now, I just said they're 70 times stronger than the plant. Plus, I said some are hot and they burn. So I wouldn't be wanting you to swallow those because they'll burn your mucous membrane. They'll burn plastic. They'll burn rubber. They're very strong because they're made of terpenes, some of them. They're terpene-like because they're evaporative. But it's the fact that they're volatile liquids and evaporative that gives them their beauty. Unlike a herb, a dried herb, which is very faint and different. Essential oils instead have that pop, that instant impact on us. And it's like if someone were behind me and opened a bottle of oil, I'd just go like that because I'd smell it before I knew, because smells like that. You smell coffee beans before you know that your mum's or your partner's put on the percolator. You can smell the chocolate when you're walking along the aisle and you're shopping. Then you think, oh, chocolate. And you get to smell it. You smell fire before you see the flames. So smell is very evocative and very powerful. And in my book, I've got that lovely chapter that I tell you about gardenia, because you asked about vanilla. But go to the gardenia oil section on gardenia and scented memories, and how I had a beautiful house in Sydney when I was in my 20s and 30s when I was married. And I had a magnificent garden because the weather in Sydney is more tropical, and I had gardenias growing everywhere. 3/4 of the year, through at least 6 to 9 months of the year, I had beautiful big gardenias. I would pick them. They were floating in blue glasses in my home because I had a beautiful, beautiful home. And every time I smell gardenia, I remember those youthful years and you're naive and yet full of hope for a life and a future, and gardenia reminds me of that. And I used to make my own perfume, just like for moisturizing. And I give you a little lesson on how to make your own gardenia body oil in jojoba if you want to make your own perfume and just scent your skin. Because I don't know what the weather's like in Sweden. I've never been, but I will come now that I've met you.
Yes,
and
I think you should.
Because my goddaughter lives in Zurich, and she's Australian, but she married a Nigerian boy, and they've gone to live in Zurich together, and they've produced these 2 gorgeous little girls, and I'm sort of her godmother, but now I'm their godmother, and they were here just recently before COVID struck. And so I am going to go to Sweden. I know it's not right next door to you. I'm going to Zurich, but it's closer than Melbourne.
Yes, and
it's closer to Melbourne, so I'll definitely do a swing around. I might come up with Rebecca actually and just spend a couple of days so that I can meet you all, and I'll bring you some oils. I might send you some oils so that you can have a nice fun in your office. Would you like that?
I'd love it, because I've been looking into this for about 2 years now. I quit a regular deodorant 3-4 years ago, and I quit perfume 2 years ago, but I still I miss the scent. So I need to get into this,
Yes, you do need to. What you do is you get one oil at a time. Now, tell me what sort of, so oils, I'm going to ask, because I've got to think, I've got 200 oils to choose from, and I have to be fair about, but I'm going to send you some of the best oils that I can get from In Essence. But essential oils are divided into plant groups. Now, I've done that, scent groups in the book. Citrus, the peel of the fruit, flowers, the flowering top, Herbs, you know, like your basil, all the cooking, think of all the cooking, pepper, black peppercorn, all the herbs and spices, cinnamon, cardamom, they're a group of oils. They're usually the ones that are really hot, and you've got to be really careful with them. Then you've got woods. But you've got woods from the towering trees. Think about the stillness that you feel when you step into a pine forest. The stillness is deafening, and yet the molecules of pine that are released into the air transfix you. You breathe clearly, your chest expands and opens, and you breathe in, and you're breathing in the molecules of coming off the pine oil. The terpene 4-ol is the name of the chemical that it's releasing into the air. Think about a sandalwood forest. If you go into sandalwood trees, you feel a reverence, a tranquility, a serenity, because that's what the santalol in that oil does, and helps us with meditation and melancholy when we feel really bogged down and we're ruminating and our minds are overthinking. And that's one of the reasons why essential oils are doing so well today, because stress is top of mind. Yeah. And we've suddenly realized, God, antibiotics have only been around for 50 years, and that we've already built a resistance to them. Plants have been around for millions of years, and we haven't built a resistance to them.
No.
We're still...
We should believe more in them.
I know. That's why there's a place for essential oils for home care. Because remember, I don't want you to go away and think, oh, I'm never going to take any medication again. If you're on medication, you must respect your doctor, and you must ask him and say, look, listen, I want to embrace aromatherapy. And he might say to you, yes, you can use the flowers and the citrus and the woods, but you can't use the herbs and the spices.
Oh, really?
Because then... Yeah, he might say that to you, because like peppermint, they're really strong and they go whoosh up your nose, and they can interact and they can override medication or accelerate medication. Now, it's in the book in the safety section. I think that, yeah, you've got to really, I made a lot of mistakes with aromatherapy in the beginning because I was just too excited. You know how lavender makes you sleep? Yeah. I love lavender. Lavender's for calming. It's a classic. It's hailed. It's renowned for its sedative properties. The linalool acetate in it, for sleep. Can use it gentle, safe with babies, safe with pregnancy. When you're pregnant, you can use it in the diffuser. And it says 6 to 9 drops in total in your diffuser. Yeah. Well, I figured I was going through a bust-up, and I thought, I need to sleep tonight because I've got a big day tomorrow at work. So I'm going to have a bath. I'm not going to use 6 to 9 drops. I'm going to use 20 drops. Yeah, well, if you use 20 drops, it has the opposite effect. So I was awake all night like this, and I couldn't sleep, because essential oils are not one thing or the other. They can't be. This is why we struggle with, and each plant is different, and every distillation is different. Like, you're unique. Every crop is unique. It's never going to be identical. Even though you're a female and you have the blueprint of a woman, you're still unique. So every time lavender grows in a field in Provence, every crop is unique. Mm. And it's very hard to say, unlike paracetamol, which is one constituent, and you can test it in a trial group and get result. Lavender is forever changing, forever new, and then you're unique and I'm unique, and then if I mix it with Roman chamomile and with sweet orange or helichrysum, it's going to be different again. But what it is, it's made up of major, minor and trace elements, up to 160 in every drop of oil. And we cannot outsmart it. No. We cannot grow resistance to it. Because if we did, the plant wouldn't exist, because it would have been gobbled up by the predators, by the insects. Exactly. Because the plant had to think, wow, I got to work out here. I got to evolve in this. like we've evolved as humans, and we are pretty crappy sometimes, but we're the master race in a way, because we're ambidextrous and because we can speak and because we have lateral thinking. Though our behaviour often has a lot to be desired, but we have evolved to this point, and so have plants. Whereas drugs are made in a laboratory using synthetic formulas, and it keeps on repeat. So the body goes, we take them, and the body goes, oh, I'm actually sick of you. I'm not going to use you. I don't want you anymore. Get out. You're not going to work on me anymore, because I'm going to come up with something to knock you off, because that's what the body's constantly at work on. So that's why I think there's such a place for aromatherapy. I think there's a place for aromatherapy in our days today, just like Hippocrates in Greece 5,000 years ago. He was, and Cleopatra, they were using cedar wood, unguents, they were using macerated oils, they were using them in ritual and cosmetics, they were using them to invoke the gods, burn them to the heavens during mass and prayer, and they used them for healing, because that's all they had. And we've inherited that traditional, those stories, and now, because we've got science, we can actually put these under a microscope, and that's how come we know they've got chemical constituents in them, because Hippocrates didn't know, Cleopatra didn't know, but I tell you what, she knew that jasmine was an aphrodisiac, and she knew rose was a different aphrodisiac, because when she sailed down the Nile to meet Mark Antony, she waited till it was downwind. She anointed her whole body with rose oil and jasmine oil. She rubbed rose wax onto the oars of her barge. Well, she didn't do it. She had her slaves do it. She had the sails drenched in rose water.
Oh, really?
And Shakespeare writes about purple were the sails and the air charged with the perfume as she sailed down the Nile. And then hours and hours before she arrived, they were already beating the drums, and poor old Mark Antony was shaking in his boots because he knew she's on her way. I'm getting seduced tonight, because he literally smelt her coming down the river.
Yeah.
He smelt her. The winds carried the jasmine on the sails. She used milk and essential oils for beauty. She bathed in milk. She bathed in a full bath of milk and rose petals and jasmine flower, because she knew that they were rejuvenating. Hippocrates used all the oils in medicine, every single oil imaginable. He would extract it. He'd get the herb and he'd soak them and then use them in potions. Well, we're doing a version of it. Here's my version of it. This is my chest. Yeah. And I'm still doing it, and it's something beautiful about having a child or a grandchild, and they arrive and they're not well, and I pull out my thing and I go, oh, just stand back, I'll make you a blend. And to make a beautiful blend for a cold and flu with eucalyptus, lemon and Australian sandalwood, because they're decongestant and expectorants in some sweet almond, rub their chest, rub their back, rub their feet, and then put their bunny suit on and pop them into bed. And to see them breathing better, sleeping the full night. Yeah. It's just wonderful. To have a girlfriend come over like my girlfriend Helena 30 years ago. Oh, she's an academic. So when I started doing this, she said, oh, no, you're not going to become some crazy lunatic or something, are you? I said, no, look, come in. She arrived at my house with a headache. So I made her a compress bowl, cool water in a glass or stainless steel bowl, about a litre of water, and I put in it peppermint. I used lavender and grapefruit, which are great oils for headache. They're called cephalics, and they actually open up the passages of tightness, and they relieve the tightness around the back. And I put in the cloth. I soaked it in the water. After I added the oils, I mixed them a bit, and then I put the cloth in, squeezed it out, put it on the back of the neck first, then put it on the forehead and held it there, and then back onto her neck, kept on using the water and the oils. And we were just talking, and all of a sudden she went, oh my God, my headache's gone. And I went, well, there you go. She is now, 30 years later, she's older than me. She's like my big sister. She's one of my advocates. Her house is like my house. She's forever ringing me and making potions for her friends down. She lives down near the beach in Mornington. And that's true for all my friends and everyone I worked with. And that's how I got the job at In Essence, because when people started saying, oh my God, this woman's a teacher, she knows how to, she's going to write programs and she's going to go into groups of pharmacy assistants and she's going to have, go to Singapore and teach expats and run workshops. I have never in 30 years had anyone who's attended a workshop say to me, oh God, that was boring. Oh God, that was a load of baloney. Nah, it was, oh my God, I want the oils, I want the box, I want to do this, I'm going to make my own perfumes. And there's this lovely section in the book called Creating Scent, Mood Scents. Mm-hmm. So in the blending section, I take you through 2 oils, 3 oils, top, middle, base note oils. Then I go into complex blends and I end it, make yourself a roll-on so that you've got a nice roll-on and you can use it like a perfume. Mm. It's sexy. I'll tell you why it's sexy.
Yes.
When you use a perfume, okay? Yeah. Even if it's Chanel, and look, I do still have some Chanel in my bathroom. Mm-hmm. That when you use that, you are still using a synthetic perfume because it's got to be consistent. It can't change, and we love it. It's divine. But if you want a romantic interlude, if you're going out for the first time with someone, a partner, and you think, oh, I want to make an impression with pure essential oils. Mm-hmm. And just wear gently around here, a bit across here, make up your blend here, behind your knees, just around the belly button area. At the points where, the erogenous parts. And I'm telling you, when you do that, I have to come close to you to go, oh my God. Because somewhere in my smell memory, I breathe in those molecules that are being released from the blend you've got on very subtly. And something is triggered in my memory. Who knows how far back our smell memory goes? No. Think how far back our DNA goes. So who knows? And that smell, I've been sitting on aeroplanes where young men will look at me and say, look, excuse me, ma'am, do you mind telling me what perfume you're wearing? Because I want to buy it for my wife. And I go, oh my God, it's essential oils and I can't remember what blend I made this morning as I was leaving for the flight. But I think it's geranium and I think I put clary sage in it. And then I end up sitting in the plane writing out recipes for this young man sitting next to me. And he's texting his wife because he wants to remember it. He wants her to do it because he loves the smell of it. We are drawn to natural smells. Mm-hmm. And you will notice the difference. If people walk into your home, you will create an ambience in your home that it'll start to smell on the curtains even in your home. Everything will be there and beautiful. On your body, in your hair, like a hair rinse. If you put a hair rinse, I've got the how to make a hair rinse. I like using geranium and frankincense. You put it in a bottle or hot water, warm water, put always 6 to 9 drops, roughly 6 to 9 drops in everything for an adult. You put it in hot water, shake it, go in, wash your hair in the last minute, pour it through your hair and just leave it in there and don't rinse it out. It's not greasy. Essential oils are volatile liquids. They're not oily, even though they're called oils. They're not oil like olive oil or virgin oil that we cook with. and just put it into your hair. Like I did a really lovely wash with my hair this afternoon, and I love frankincense and I love geranium. My hair smells divine. And if anybody, it's so beautiful. But I'm aromatizing my scalp. So think of all the levels of it. One, it smells divine. So if anybody came here and was bending over me, looking at my computer because we were writing something, they go like that over my head. And they go, Pat, what have you got on? What is that smell in your hair? One.
And it stays? Yeah.
It does. Yeah, not for like days, but yes, you'd be surprised, especially frankincense and geranium, and patchouli even. I've got some recipes there for the hair. Mm-hmm. Then on top of that, the essential oils are all antiseptic. Mm. They all have healing properties. So I'm healing my scalp at the same time. So if you've got a scalp,
have difficulties with the scalp. Yeah.
So if you've got difficulties, itching, dry scalp, psoriasis, anything patchy, oh my God, if you start go and have a look at the recipes in the book, and you'll start thinking, oh my God, I'm going to make myself every 2 or 3 days, I'm going to make myself my little bottle, a clean new bottle. You put water in it. You keep it specially in the bathroom for your hair rinses. Then on top of that, you are aromatizing your scalp. Because remember I told you that essential oils enter the body via the hair follicles. That's the second pathway. The first one's this way into the limbic mode, this side of the body and the lungs. And the second one is I make a massage blend, like when I was in Bali, rub it all over me. I made my skin beautiful, moisturised, but it made me feel sexy because we were making a sexy blend. And then we were like bees to honey because we smelled good, we looked good, we were still young, I've got to tell you, it wasn't just the oils. And it was like all these people coming over to us because there were 3 of us, the sisters who founded this company and myself, and with our husbands, we had our husbands with us, and we'd go out dancing and everyone was like, oh, wow, what have those girls got that we don't have? And amazing. So going back to your hair rinse, you're also getting that. So you get the holistic benefits, mind, body, spirit, the holistic benefit of the oils all the time. So they smell great.
Mm. Do they, if you use like an oil instead of perfume, and then you also use something to rinse your hair, do they clash? Do they?
No. Excellent question. It was one of the first questions I was asked 30 years ago, and I didn't know how to answer it because I wasn't sure. Yeah, well, of course I didn't know everything 30 years ago. And yes, no, they don't. They don't clash with anything other than prescription medication and only certain oils. That's why if you're on medication, you need to ask your doctor. Like say sometimes chemo patients call me and ask me, what can I do for my husband? He's going through chemo and he's in so much pain and that. And I say, look, this is what I recommend. Can you go and check with your doctor? This is what I'd recommend. And then you've got to call me back every week. And I only tell her to do things like diffuse, rub his feet. I don't say start giving him treatments all over his body. Okay? So the holistic part, mind, body, soul. It's only since modern science that because when I first started with aromatherapy 30 years ago, I was like, oh, you don't believe in that stuff, do you? It's all mumbo jumbo. A lot of people said that to me. Yeah. But today, with all the research that's coming out and all the tests that are being done on the properties in essential oils, they're proving in the mind, they can make your mind expand, they can make your mind shut down a bit. On your body, when they go into the body, they go through the circulatory system. And if I've got arthritis, they go into the target area to treat the arthritis. If I've got indigestion, I do it here and it treats the indigestion. If I've got a cold, I rub it here, I prepare the cold blend. It goes into the chest and treats the lung area and the chest where I'm all mucus congested. And then even more amazingly, they go into the soul, the spirit, because
they feel good also.
Well, I mean, how could you deny that we doesn't exist because I can't see the spirit? But I know that if I see a baby, or I see a mother, see the love of a mother for her child, or if I witness a stunning sunset, or just smell the basil, and it reminds me of my mum, I'm moved. Something occurs within me that is happening on another level than the physical. It's happening somewhere else. And essential oils can reach that point. Certain constituents within oils, especially the aphrodisiacs and the woods like the resins, like frankincense and sandalwood, because they're resinous, or the fixatives, they're used in perfume, the base, the heavy base notes that are really thick, they reach a point somewhere within the limbic system and within our soul, wherever that is, that triggers something profound within us. And it's when you meditate, and that's why I've got that lovely chapter in my book for your meditation group. They'll love it. And it's not long, it's not cumbersome, because I was a beginner in all of that too. So I've got it all set up for the chakras, how to get your aura cleansed, how to clean negative energy in your home, how to do a dedicated meditation with essential oils. It's all really nice, and some great ways to start with just 1 or 2 oils, even including crystals that enhance that meditation.
And how to just looking through some of the book, some of the pages, and
for the mood sense, yes,
the mood sense. And also there are so many really, really practical, but also so beautiful.
I can't tell you how much information. Once you start, if you're really interested, this will take you through all that you want to learn in aromatherapy. But I think my favorite chapter is the inhale chapter, because that is for the diffuser. And it's the power of diffusion, chapter 5, page 95. Here it is, the power of diffusion.
Yeah.
And look at all the recipes I've got there. Now, they are complex recipes. So if you don't have any of those oils, by the way, see how I've got them in moods. So if you want focus, if you want to lift, if you want to transform, if you want to unwind, pacify for sleep, page 96 and 97. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, some of those are complex. So if you're starting out, you go, oh my God, I haven't got all those oils. No. So guess what? Ready? Yeah. These are the sorts of things. We'll do another Zoom. When you do it with your girls and boys in your club, and they go, oh God, I wish I'd have answered. She could answer this question from the book.
Yeah.
What we'll do is we'll have another Zoom. And we'll have questions before, but send them to me at least 3 or 4 days beforehand so that I can tell them. Like, for instance, one of the questions I've got from a lot of people in Australia is, oh, Pat, some of these are so hard and they've got so many oils in them. I go, oh, don't worry, the teacher, I knew that. So in the back, where I've got the oils on their own in alphabetical order, gosh, here they are.
Yeah.
You'll see at the back, I've got them all from basil right through to ylang-ylang, just like that. If you go to, let's pick one that everyone would know. Let's pick an oil that people, lime. Yeah. Say if you go to lime, it's on page 186. Now, the recipe on lime in the inhale chapter is it's called Delight, and I've got ylang-ylang, orange, bergamot, mandarin, and tangerine in it, which I have to tell you, it is, you will faint when you do it because it's so beautiful. It is so beautiful, but you've got to get the oils. It's an investment. That's why I've got the beginner's thing. But if you go to lime, in the back of the book, I've only got mind and mood. Diffuse 4 drops of lime and 2 drops of ylang-ylang to sweeten the air and promote harmony during times of discord. It's only two oils with lime, 1 other oil, so that you go, oh, well, I can do that. I can get ylang-ylang with lime.
So if we were to suggest, you know, a small kit to start with for our audience, what would you say?
Okay, so let's go to the 2 oil starter kit on page 77.
Yep.
You'll see my starter kit, my essential oil starter kit. Where would I start if I was going again? Yeah. And see, I've got my starter kit, bergamot, cedarwood. Have you got a pencil there? And I'll tick the first 5 for you.
The first 5 is bergamot. It might be different in Swedish, you know, because it's in alphabetical order.
I've put them in you've put them in alphabetical order.
Yes.
Oh, I see, you're alphabetical. Because I said that is in alphabetical order. Okay, so frankincense, can you see incense there? What do you call that in? I get frankincense.
Yes.
Because it's just for meditation, it's a restorative. And then if you go over the page, you'll see I've written about frankincense, just how I blend it with sweet orange. I get that blend. Frankincense and sweet orange. Yes. And then I love peppermint and bergamot. That's blend number 5. Yeah. If you go on to page 79. See, there's only 2 oils. And I say, this is the way you use them. And this is how many drops. And then I would get, for women, geranium and lavender. That's enough, 6 oils. So I get frankincense and orange, geranium and lavender. So blend 1, blend 3, and blend 5 to start. And then after I got used to those and I played with those, then I'd get blend 2, blend 4, maybe, and 6, or think, nah, don't like those oils. You know what I do, what I tell the girls to do in my classes is, I always say, try smelling. Remember, aromatherapy is a sensory therapy. Yeah. So it's very hard for me. Imagine if we were sitting at the table together and I pulled all the oils out and you started smelling them. You'd go crazy. So it's a sensory therapy.
I'd love to go crazy with you.
Yeah. It's a sensory therapy, and you think to yourself, oh my goodness, I want that. Oh, Pat, I don't like that smell, because smell is personal. It's like food. It's like tasting food. There's no right or wrong smell. It's whether you like it or not. Whether it hits you in the solar plexus and you go, oh, wow. Or whether you go, oh, don't like it. Because I know a lot of people don't like lavender, whereas 90% of the world does. It's the biggest selling oil on the globe. Yeah. So you need to smell an oil. Don't invest in an oil, and go to a shop that's got testers so that you can at least try the testers before you go buying oils and then go, I don't even like this oil. And now I've invested money into it. Yeah. So it's very important. I'm going to send you, now last question, because I can see we're running out of time. I'm going to send you some oils for the office. Wonderful. And then you can take, and then how many people in your office?
We are 5.
So then you can also, does the book club come to the office, or are they all on Zoomy Woomy?
The book club is, they're scattered all over Sweden. So we meet on
So you could suggest to them, because what we could do that everyone loves to do with me, I could do some demonstrations. And by the way, if you go onto YouTube, I am on YouTube, and I demonstrate how to do a massage, how to make a spritz. It's called In Essence, INESSENCE YouTube channel.
Yeah.
We'll worry about that later. But if, what was the point I was going to make? There was an important point.
Yeah.
You need to smell the oils before you buy, so that you're sure you like them. And then even before I blend them together, I always try them on a tissue, and you'll see that I suggest that in the blending, at the start of the blending chapter. I say, when you're making a blend, try it first, 1 drop of each on a tissue, smell it, and then go, oh yeah, I love those two oils together. I'm going to use geranium.
So you put 2 on the same, yeah.
I do. I just say this were the tissue. I just take, say, for instance, if I wanted to see if I like geranium, I just put 1 drop of geranium, because I'm going to try and see now whether or not, see how patient I'm being with geranium. I'm waiting for it to come out because it's got to take its time. I don't salt and pepper shake too much. Here she comes. See the drop? Do you see it come down? There it is on the piece of paper, but pretend this is a tissue. And now I'm also going to try frankincense. I'm already can smell the geranium, and I'm already thinking, oh, yum. There's the drop of the other one, and I'm just going to put, to see how quickly the frankincense ran out. I got 2 drops.
They're different in their
viscosity. Yeah. So frankincense is called a top note. Yeah. Geranium is a middle note, whereas jasmine and rose are really heavy bass notes. So I'd actually waste minutes waiting for them to come out. They really take their time to come out. And I'm very patient with them because I just think this is the magic, the beauty of nature coming out. It's been distilled in its original, where the plant grows, in its place of origin. So jasmine is from, tropical regions. Geranium, this particular geranium is from Bourbon, from the New Hebrides. Frankincense is from Somalia, and they're all come from different parts of the world. They're distilled right on where they're picked, and then they come over to, in essence, in quarantine, and they're all bottled and prepared and packaged here in Australia so that we know exactly what goes into each bottle. That's the sort of standards that we like in Australia. I almost don't want to leave you, but I do, because it's time for dinner, and you probably want to have morning tea or lunch.
Yeah, soon lunch. Yes, definitely.
All the best.
I'm so happy. Thank you very much for everything. And we'll talk to you again.
I hope you got a lot out of it. I know I talked a lot, but it was important.
No, but I let you, because you're a teacher and you can tell, it's fantastic. You say a lot of wonderful things.
Thank you so much, and we'll meet again.
Yes, we will, definitely. Bye.
All the very best. Bye. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.